I suffered with a speech impediment growing up from the age of 4 until now. Not being able to use your own voice, I had to use something else. So to this day, drums hide me away from public speaking. Drumming can be very good for de-stressing, relaxation, drum therapy.
So what would you say to people who are going through the process right now, where they have a dream on their heart and they have a purpose and a passion for whatever this new thing is? What would you say to those people?
Never listen to what others are saying. Don't let it register with you. If you're not obsessed with what you do and what you want to do, it's time to move on. You have to be completely and utterly obsessed.
You be consistent with what you're doing. If you're not obsessed with it or love it enough, it's not the right thing. Find something else. Keep going until you find something that you obsess over. Welcome to the Successful Irishman podcast, where we know success isn't only about money and material riches. It's about personal freedom, owning your time and leaving your trauma, triggers and limiting beliefs behind. My name is Dara Byrne, life coach, trauma recovery specialist and entrepreneur. And on this podcast, we will be sitting down with guests to hear their incredible life stories and to challenge the societal idea of success. Conor, welcome to the program, buddy. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks,
Conor Moore, it's very good to have you on. Conor is from Wexford. He's an absolute master at drumming and performing at weddings, festivals and corporate events. His brand name is Conor Moore. Conor Moore, help me pronounce it.
Conor Moore, yeah. Conor Moore, yeah, that's all right. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, there we go. Conor Moore. So Conor, it's a privilege to have you on here. I can't wait to kick into it. But we're going to start pretty much from the bottom, from day one. What was like for you growing up? What part of Ireland did you grow up in? And yeah, we'll crack on from there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Gorey, County Wexford. I will be known to be a very, very proud Wexford man. And I started my early years as a musician and as a businessman from the age of 13. So I was growing up in a very urban-filled town in the southeast of Ireland, and lots of sport and music and things like that. But I played sport for years and just knocked it on the head from a very young age because I knew that music was going to be my future and everything that I did. So I started performing and teaching when I was 13, and I've never looked back. I've never had a boss. I've never had to try and get holidays off anyone else. It's always just been me. And I've been doing that since first year in school. And the only reason was it kind of clicked with me earlier about the value of money and the value of my own time, the value of seeing my friends, the value of taking the time to start a family. And that clicked with me really early on. And I kind of thought, if I can do that myself, therefore I'll never be stressed, which I was totally wrong.
Yes.
I'll never feel, but I'll never have pressure or stress put on me by anybody else but myself. And I would much prefer that, whereas, as I always say, I'm in control of me and my career, my holidays, my plans, my shows, my creations. And that clicks so early in play. And being honest, I used to go down to this DVD shop, and I used to be mad for DVDs and everything. That I kind of thought, if I can work, I can buy as many DVDs as I like. And I did that.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler ones and Jim Carrey's and stuff. And I was like, this is class. Like, what?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Ice Ventura.
All of that. And I think I collected about 200 DVDs, all from my own pocket from the age of 13, 14, 15. I started lessons from a box room in my parents' house that no one was really happy about. I wasn't happy with the space. They weren't happy with the noise in an estate in the middle of Gorey, trying to make a few pounds. And I was out the door. I was about, sometimes I was 15 students a day. I wouldn't even chance that now,
What you mean? You were teaching?
I was teaching 15 one-to-ones a day.
Wow.
So that was 15 half-hour slots. What's that? That's 7.5 hours. And I do that
Fuck me.
straight through. And people, you
Right.
say, what about lunch? What about sleep? What about this? What about that?
Yeah,
Doesn't
a
matter.
million percent. I hear you on that. If people knew and seen, what goes on behind the scenes, to be like, "What? You're fucking crazy." But I want to bring it right back because I'm beaming from ear to ear listening to that story, listening to not just the story, but the reason everything about it. The reason you started in your own business, the reason you wanted to own your own time, own your own life, and not need to ask for permission of
Mm,
others. It took me many years before I got to that stage. Well, I realised it younger, but to be able to get to a stage where I could let go and not depend on a job and things like that. But
yeah.
well done, man. That's incredible. And as we all know, life doesn't start at 13. So before the age of 13, um, how was life like for you growing up in Wexford? What was school like for you? What was the family like? Um, and a few of those things before we carry on.
Um, like school was like I went to a real towny school, as you can probably tell from like my accent. I'm a huge townie. Like I live out in the country and have done for the past 7 or 8 years. I'm out of place here, so I'm a real Gory Towns lad. You know, I I love I love the Ga club. I played for Nevena growing up. I played for Gory Celtic in soccer. Um, trying to keep it away from music, but I played for like the local branches and things like that. And in school was never for me. I wasn't a tearaway, I wasn't bold. Um, I was just school didn't click with me so young that I even took a year out in play school. That's how much I didn't like
Wow.
being controlled. Now, I'm not saying that school's controlling, but that's how I felt. I went to school the first year. My mother used to have a battle with a 3-year old child that was attached to her leg every morning.
Oh, stop it.
And then the second year, she said, "There's no point," and I was like, "I'm just not going." And right up until maybe my leaving cert, I thought I've gotten into college now. I went and did a course where I only got in on audition basis and points weren't really a thing because it was the first trial year of this course. So I thought, what's the point in having one? It took about 10 lads to sit me down and say, if you have a degree and the mood strikes in maybe 10 years time and you want to go back and do like a Hibernia course or like another BA or go teaching and get your 3 months of holidays, blah, blah, you can, but you have to sit your exams, da da da. So from the whole way up, I always knew that I wasn't in control. But when I went in the first year in school, it gave me that independence. But as a child growing up, before I became a businessman of sorts, um, I was active. I was very social. I used to I used to visit a lot of people, and that's something I've always took with me. Like when
Mhm.
people look at my life from like the outside, I'm not saying that my life is the be all and end all of any life, but whenever people do look in and see that I'm traveling to a lot of places, that I'm running 3 or 4 businesses at once, to kind of say, Jesus, have you got the time to do anything at all? But yet I'm the one who's ringing all of the lads to catch up, to stay in touch,
Uh-huh.
dropping in, like that's really, really important. Whereas if I didn't do that, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't make sense to me. Like if I can't make time for my family or even the lads from college, or can't even set a date to go meet the lads from college 3 months out, there's something wrong.
Hmm.
There's something really, really wrong. Like I like doing well, but I like taking my own time. And being honest, Sarah, I don't think I've actually found that balance yet. Like I am only 32. Have I found that balance? I don't know. Will we ever find that balance? Who knows? We may never find it, but we'll always try.
Well, here's the thing. One of my mentors, Preston, my number one mentor, Preston, smiles. I'll give him a shout out here. Is there such thing as balance?
Yeah,
Because
no.
it's something that's sold by society that you need to balance everything in life. And I also challenge that. Instead of trying to balance everything, why not be with what you're doing at that moment in time and be with all of that? And when it's
Mm,
time to, and this is what I do in business again, I'm similar to you. I've got a few businesses that I operate this podcast and then clients, and I've got a family as well. But in
yeah,
order to be able to manage all of those things, some of the plates go up in the air and the other plates go down on the ground. And you come back to it like this podcast is the exact reason. Um, I put the podcast down for nearly 2 years while I done my masters in coaching, and I started another project with the construction of the villas here in Bali. I know my capacity, and I don't want to burn out. But
okay.
when you have them, you can pick them up and put them down. Once they're flying by themselves, then you get to choose what you put more time and effort into.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually love falling. I love whenever the plates fall. I love it because I'll never
Hmm.
do it again. You know, like I was only talking to Connor, who you had on a couple of weeks ago, and Connor's been brilliant. Connor's like Connor's been like my mentor. So if anyone who is listening, Connor, who also goes as Daddy Sachs, like he's like we often have our chats about the value and things like that and the balance thing. But I don't like, and I think we've spoken about it before. It's not about the balance in it. It's about how well you cope with the situation. And I
Uh-huh.
think, and I think that's more so the question than anything. How well can you cope with the situation, other than have you got a balance? Because we don't.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
definitely don't. Because because if balance is client number one wants you to give you this amount of time for that fee, and then client number two, and then a family, and then your business admin needs this, all of those four things are going to ask too much of you. So therefore, balance is off the table. It's about
Hmm.
how well you can cope, time management, things like that. But yeah, balance is a good question
Yeah.
because no one knows how to answer it, just like my answer there. But it's about the coping side of it. And sometimes you
Hmm.
might get, sometimes you might run run yourself absolutely ragged, um, and then go, oh, now I need to go back to square one, and then you go complete extreme and go 2 hours a day of work for
Hmm.
1 week. You're like, right, okay, and then 2 hours a day turns into half a day of being on the phone to a client and going, go pick up the kids. Didn't do the shopping. Didn't take out the bins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's the thing. Coping is another word for nervous system. It's what your nervous system can basically cope with as you're doing all of the things. Yes, when there's a lot of them, you obviously can't do them all together. But a lot of people get overwhelmed by that because they try to do them all together. Um, and the more comfortable you get with picking things up and putting them down, because you can't do all of the things all of the time, the easier it will be to manage 5 businesses, 10 businesses, X amount of clients, family, and all the other things, social gatherings that come in between. But coming back to you and your story, um, so school was a bit of a burden to you growing up, and it took for 10 people to sit you down before you understood the importance of having a couple of those qualifications should you ever wish to fall back should your music career fail.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Always came back to the whole. You can't really expect drums to get you out of a hole. Well, it helped me getting a house, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
Well,
too
look
bad.
at now
But
that we're on that, go ahead, you go first.
sorry, but like that's. I think that coming from the burden, it actually turned into like one of my biggest motives was lads going, "Can you really make a living doing what you're doing?" And that used to kind of insult me. Now
Hmm.
I know that people weren't going down that route, but people say things and people feel things in different ways. They can approach them in different ways that can be quite insulting. But that used to really insult me. But yet it used to put a rocket up my arse and be like, watch this. Watch me.
Mm.
I can guarantee you I can be one of Ireland's leading drum workshop and working drummer on the scene in 5 years. Give me 5 years. and the only one out there now that's doing festivals, weddings, corporates, drumming workshops, educations, courses,
Mm.
providing technique, skills, true English, true Irish, fluent in Irish, well,
No
fluent
way.
in working
Epic.
Irish. Yeah, so I
You'll
worked with
teach
a
me.
band. You're all right, it's hard. So, like, you're probably thinking with school and all, I obviously learned it back in school. I learned it as much as you did. But whenever
Yeah.
I left school, but we'll probably come on to that. So I was with a band, and but now I do those workshops in Irish and English and Gael Skulls, shocked in the Gaeilge wellness weeks because of drumming can be very good for de-stressing,
Hmm.
relaxation, drum therapy, things like that. And the reason, if you want to go back to then, is the reason why I always had that passion for the drum therapy stuff was that I suffered with a speech impediment growing up from the age of 4 until I was until now,
Hmm.
basically, So, and I think becoming a businessman at 13 gave me validation that I was worth it at the
Hmm.
time. Um, Not being able to use your own voice, I had to use something else. So to this day, drums hide me away from public speaking. It's the only way
Yes.
it is that I can express myself. But I can speak no problem on a stage if a drum is in front of me because I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what
Okay.
I'm doing up here. And hello, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to the new seminar with Conor Moore. I've been a professional drummer for blah, 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 blah. No problem. Put me up on stage, talk about anything else, crumble, total crumble.
That's
And
really interesting.
you're probably thinking you can't hear the speech impediment. Put a lot of work into it from a very early age. I thank my mum and dad to actually detect that and put it in. I see it too often now in schools where parents are
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, I don't think it's a speech impediment. Oh, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he'll grow out of it." You don't.
Okay. That's an incredible part of the story. But I want to come back to something that you said there a few minutes ago. Because it's in my opinion that friends and family are the biggest killers of dreams on the planet. You see it everywhere, oh, you can't do that, you won't make a living out of that, you won't get to travel the world with X dream that little
Mm.
Johnny has, or little Connor has, or little Dara had back in the
Mm.
day. What were some of the things that family and friends said to you um, when you decided that you were going to pursue a career in music?
Um, I'll start from your last statement there. They never knew that I was going to pursue a career in music. We're still in the pre-real career era. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
It's more
so
like, oh, so he'll do a bit of drumming and then he'll
uh,
find a real
uh,
job.
at 32.
At 32, I think it's too late. I'm
Uh,
starting like I've been looking into private pensions there now, so we're kind of done with all that. But even with my immediate family were very kind of like, I think they were under the impression that Connor will do whatever he wants to do anyway. And you know what? Connor will be fine. They knew that I was always going to be an entrepreneur of some sort.
yeah.
And they didn't really care for what it was. Not in a like, oh, like they didn't care. They didn't worry. They weren't concerned. They weren't concerned as in, God, I hope he does well at this, and I don't think he's going to do well. They knew that I got up every Monday morning with the fear, as everyone still does. We don't know what bill is going to come in. We don't know what what sort of rates are going to fluctuate. We don't know what's going to actually happen. But the fear gets me going. I
Ah,
do. I have a massive fear. I have a massive fear of failing. It's massive, but I don't think if you don't have it, you're not going to
Connor,
do much.
so
You know what I
you
mean?
said you have a massive fear of failing.
Massive fear. It's the only thing that actually gets me going.
Mhm.
That's it. It's the fear is the complete fear of failing. Like,
Okay. I'm going to come back to that, and thank you very much for your vulnerability and being honest.
mm.
I will come back to that, but for now, I'll just pick apart the people telling you that you can't do something. What would you say to not your younger self, but people who are younger than you? or whatever age they are right now, actually, because there's a lot of people that change career later in life or at any stage in life. So, what would you say to people who are going through the process right now and their friends and family are telling them they're mad, don't do that? Where they have a dream on their heart and they have a purpose and a passion for whatever this new thing is, but everybody is talking them out of doing it. What would you say to those people?
What I'd say to them is to never listen to what others are saying. Don't listen. Definitely don't let it register with you. No days off for the first couple of months. Absolutely no days off. Make sure that you're interested and passionate about what you're doing, selling, retailing, anything is obsessive, really. If you're not obsessed with what you do and what you want to do, it's time to move on. You have to
Mhm.
be completely and utterly obsessed, but not in a social manner. You got to wake up going, I love this.
Ah,
I love this because if you don't love it,
goals.
you might as well go off and get yourself your 9 to 5 if you want. But if you want a 10 to 2 and do a little bit of admin, run down the town, grab a coffee, get a meeting, bring one of the boys, work, 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 get your gig on your Friday, your 2 gigs on Saturday, get your festival, get your graphics done. Your new video is up and coming. Book Andrew Heaney, Andrew to come down, does a video, do like your festival, have something happening in the background at all times. And
Ah,
yeah,
so just stay, yeah, yeah. So basically, be consistent with what you're doing, and if you're not obsessive about it or love it enough, it's not the
mm,
right thing. Find something else. Keep going until you
exactly.
find something that you obsess over. I love that. I love that. So, you left school when you left school when you were 13. Did you after your junior cert, or did you do your leaving
I did the leaving, yeah. I left school when I was 19 because I
at
had
nine?
to. I should have been 18, but someone took a year out in play school.
Yes. And from then, tell us about getting kicked off into your career or into music.
So before I left school, my career had kind of started when I was in school. I was with a drumming group in Wexford Town called Extreme Rhythm, and bunch of Wexford Town heads and still good friends of mine, and we did we did probably some of the coolest gigs we've ever done. One of them, anyway, like we did X Factor. We gig with Kelly Clarkson twice. We did Wembley Arena. We did the Tree Arena. We did our own shows in the Wexford Opera House. We did our own show in the Olympia Theatre. We were all ripped to shreds, body paint, fake tan, manic tribal drumming. It was
Deadly.
promoted by MCD, and at this time we'd done Celtic Woman, songs from the heart. We were on that DVD in Powers Court Gardens, where the set was like worth 1 million. We're up on the top. I never forget that. Remember getting food poisoning on set, and even during the recording, there was a camera going by, and we're all like giving it loads and all for like the big opening song. And as the camera went by, I am attending to my food poisoning and then back on set again, back in
Getting
camera
sick.
shot. So yeah, so you can actually you can actually see the whole thing, but whenever the camera goes over there, I'm off doing that, and then the camera comes back, and then I'm back into character.
Ah, Jesus, yeah.
So that actual gig was my first ever oh shit sort of a moment. This is massive. This is
It's,
cameras.
it's
I'm
happening.
70. I'm a professional drummer. I'm deemed as a professional player alongside these legends on stage who are making money, traveling the world, playing music. I'm deemed as the same as them. I'm not deemed as a child. This isn't a charity act. This is show night. This is no messing. This is like if you're not up to the mark, off you go. So I was with that group then for uh 5 or 6 years, and we did all the Kelly Clarkson stuff and X Factor, and got to meet cool people, and in Louis Walsh's dressing room with Dermot O'Leary, Gary Barlow, uh,
Hmm.
Sh- Sharon Core, who I called Andrea. I'll never live it down.
Is
Um,
that is that one of the sisters?
one of the sisters, yeah. So I called her by the wrong name, basically.
Ah, so look, it's not like, it's the same family, so you get
I
away
know,
with
you
it.
know, a couple of champagnes, you know what I'm like. Um, and then moved on then to probably the brightest part of my career as regards friends, family, and doing really cool gigs was Sholin. Sholin was formed from Coláiste Lurgan, which was the Irish speaking college here in Galway. And like I said, I had no Irish, and I literally landed to do a job to record drums. And I was asked, "Do you have any Irish?" And I said, "No, so don't bother speaking Irish to me. I'm here to do a job." So I went up for 2 days and I was back the following week, and I was back up there for 3 weeks. And I was one of the co-creators with the lads with Sholin, and we all created Avicii versus Lurgan, which was the Wake Me Up in Irish track that got a million hits in a week. And after that, Dara, it's been that's probably the biggest kickstart of my career. That's when I started hitting the road
Yeah,
properly.
yeah. What age were you then?
What age was I then? I want to say 21. I think I
21.
was. Yeah,
Incredible. Send me the link to that. I'd like to have a listen.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. How's that all going now? Well, how is the track going? Is that band still together?
That band is still going, and that band is still one of my most favorite bands in Ireland. And
Hmm.
they're probably my most favorite people I've ever worked with. They're
Hmm.
like it was there was seven of us, and then it turned into six, and people just kind of move on. So there was six of us and one girl at first, um, and then there was just the six lads, and Jenny moved on. I think Jenny moved to Bali. She went on to Greater and better things in Bali, and yeah, she's living a really cool life there, like yourself. And
Give me
the
your
lad,
details.
yeah. So Jenny Russell is a singer, just all around talented, brilliant songwriter. Um, she's that girl that me and my wife would often talk about and say if she ever recorded her own album, I would be first to buy it. And it's such a privilege to actually work with people you're a fan of, and that's how I see Sholin. I'm such a fan of them, and then I'm playing with them. It's such an
Yeah,
amazing feeling,
that's incredible.
and it's not that you're just such a big fan of the music that they write. It's just them as like it's their values and
Ah,
how they treat their friends and their family and the way they look up to their parents and stuff, and all that stuff. And I have to say it was definitely the happiest years of my life
mhm.
musically. I'm not saying I don't have them anymore, but it's times where you look back and go, I was a young lad then, and by God, we had some crack. Like
Yeah, yeah.
we did the Euros 2016 anthem, the Irish Roar, and we got flown over to go watch Ireland Sweden, and then we landed in Paris to do one gig. We were there for 5 days. You can only imagine the crack. We're
Ah,
getting
mate, you're killing me.
getting paid to go see Ireland play v Sweden, right?
And
Like,
do what you love.
just do what you love and going around Paris, just going around with the FAI and meeting a few charity groups from Ireland and stuff, and going out with the fans. And
Is that when Al John was fucking throwing tickets all over the shop, is it?
no, it wasn't that year. Well, I can tell you,
John, what's his name again? John what?
John Delaney.
John Delaney, that's it, yeah.
We
The
had
goat
a
handcuffs.
we we had a few sing songs with John now, I have to say. Other than that, I can't say much more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, I heard he's a bit of crack anyways. I heard he's a bit of
Lo-
crack, but
Loves the sing song. Loves
loves
it.
to sing song.
Like
Well,
won't
leave
let
him
you go.
to it. Leave him
Yeah.
to it, wherever he is. But that sounds epic, man. Incredible life memories. Do you still connect with that Shaolin group? Do you still play
Yeah.
with them at all?
I play with them the very, very odd time. The very odd time, like if they wanted me to come up on stage for a tune because it's what we recorded back in the day, absolutely. Um, I've done like the odd project with them, but it all comes down to time. It
Hmm.
all comes down to family. Like I know every year, like they'll always offer me like you're talking about me killing you, but this kills me. And I wouldn't change it, but I just can't leave my wife and child for that long. Whereas the lads are like, but sure, bring them with you. And I'm like, yeah, but Moore has a job. They'll always offer me 2 weeks in the States, expenses paid, right? And it's like Irish festivals and
Oh,
the
that'd
middle
be crazy.
Iowa, Milwaukee, and then to add to all of that, they get like a residency in like these bars and venues in Australia for like 3 weeks, and they live out of this apartment beside a lake or the sea or wherever they are.
Thank
I
God.
just can't.
The complete
Just
opposite of the venues they play in.
I the complete. But look at this is this is the life now that I have that that I've always dreamed of. You know, I have a wife who I love and adore and who supports me and has never said that's stupid to any idea I may have had, even if it was stupid. I have a daughter and I have a house and I live in Gorey and I'm off more or less Monday to Friday a lot of the time.
It's amazing. But you know, you could also be an incredible inspiration that you already are to many, I'm sure, many of your students, but for your daughter. Traveling the world with your love and your passion and your purpose work. Um, I have two kids, a wife, and I'm off to Australia. I was in Austin, Texas there in May. I go to Australia now in 3 weeks' time. We'll be over there for a couple of weeks, and then I go
Nice.
back to Austin, Texas again, all for work. So, and
Deadly.
this year. This is this year. Like this is without the rest of the years of our lives, and that's one thing I want to do. Get to a stage where I can bring the family with me. If it's an
Mm.
opportunity for you to do that, to some of these memories, like your own, going to Paris
Yeah.
with Sharon and playing in front of the Irish fans and all the rest of those things, you know, there's some of those memories that you can never, they become core memories for the family. So when
Mm.
there is an opportunity there, ask Maura, I think you said her name is,
Yeah, more, yeah.
to ask for time off. We're going to the States. Let's go,
Yeah.
baby.
Like I've often said it going, if 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 we can get Sophie or our kids,
Yeah.
who knows, to that age where they're happy to go. I will
Hmm.
I will be back on to like the lads going, book me in for 2028 or book me in there for 2029.
Yeah.
Just book it.
Does your daughter not like flying?
I'm just not a fan of bringing her at 3 years of age. I just
Okay.
see the stress of it, and do you know what? She would probably love it, and she probably would love it because her mammy is cabin crew for Aer Lingus. So
Oh, is she? Oh, Jesus, yeah.
yeah,
So
so she absolutely loves the fact that daddy's a drummer and mammy flies a plane. We
she
have been
flies a
told
plane. We have a
she flies the
captain.
plane. Yeah, yeah. We're living with a pilot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, love it, love it. Yeah, well, look at what I found. Obviously, I travel around the world with my kids, and I've just been at home in Ireland there for 4 weeks. To fly in and out of Ireland from Bali. It's 20
Nice.
hours altogether, travel time. But
Oh
they
my
love
god.
it. They love it. They love it. They get to eat the snacks. They get a lot of literally they get presents from the start of the trip to the end of the trip, both on the plane and in Ireland, and then coming back on the plane
Yeah.
again. They have all the movies, their games, you know, on the back of the consoles. Um, they look like they've been more malleable to traveling than me when I was an adult, when I started traveling. They're just like a duck to water. It's another thing for them. Um, but carrying too much stuff can get a bit hectic. But it's not hectic for them. It's just carrying the stuff for me. I
It's just
seriously,
life. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
It's just
Exactly.
life. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So she'll grow into it, put it that way. But she'll be forever and eternally grateful, I'm sure, for
Oh
getting to
yeah.
see the world at that age. Um, but coming back to you and your story, so that was probably what, around your mid-20s when you started doing that.
Yeah, so I started probably when I was 22 and then left then at about 20, I think I was 26. 20, I left in 2016. What's that? That's 8 years ago. 24. So yeah, I was with them from the age of 20, sorry, 19 to 20 because I started in Lurgan at 19 and I left at 24. So 5 years, yeah.
5 years. And then since then, you've been out by yourself. You're just doing your own thing.
Yeah. So I resigned from Shullin with a lot of tears on the 31st of August 2016 and Sound Out Rhythm Entertainment and Education launched on the 1st of September 2016. I was unemployed for about 3 hours and was back up.
Love it, love it. And how has that been for you? Um, I want to come back to something as well, but how has it been for you?
Good. It's been great. I have a brand name. I have a brand with schools. I've got a brand for lessons. It's nice to have a brand. It's tidy. It feels good. It's something that I'll always need. And the company is Sound Out Rhythm. Sound Out being someone who's sound out. So
Yeah.
Sound Out Rhythm has been going since 2016, and yeah, I do schools. Like I operate workshops in schools where it's Bowron's percussion and drums. And basically, the genres of music is called from trad to techno. So
Okay.
you get the cultural stuff in, and then you get the stuff that they love. So you go from
What is
doing,
it? The techno.
yeah,
All the country folk love the techno, don't they?
oh,
I
they love it.
don't use
And
the big flirty jeans and the fucking techno music. All
a,
illuminous.
a bit of Declan Nerney and topped off with a bit of techno. But yeah, but I think that's the selling point with the TYs because then they kind of roll their eyes going,
What's a
oh,
TY?
so TY is a transition year.
Okay.
So transition year over here. So like you get onto your TY year head in all schools across Ireland. So my
Yeah.
marketing game across that will be fairly strong. So I've got like 600
So
emails that I kind of just check into.
so you're selling them what they want and you're giving them what they need. So
There you
you're selling them techno and you're giving them the cultural country music as well. Because coming back to the Irish speaking, I've lived abroad for fucking close to 18 years now. And
Well,
it's the one biggest thing that I wish I had is Irish language. And I'd love my kids to have it too. I will get back and I will study it, but it's something that I always feel as an Irishman that I should be able to speak it. Because obviously overseas, you meet Lebanese people, Italian people, national, even here in Bali, they speak Bahasa. My kids are learning Bahasa. So they know more
cool.
Indonesian than they do Irish. But hearing people speaking a native tongue and other kids that have three, four, five different languages and they're only kids brings me like, it makes me wish that I had
I
Irish.
know. But
Mm-mm.
we all do, but not every country had the by God, we will not get into this, but not every country had the
The Brits
ha,
fucking trying to
yeah,
cut our throats every 5 minutes.
exactly. Not every country had that and said you can't speak your language. We're gonna take those six counties and the rest was and is
Still
history. Like
history.
so
History,
so
yeah. Past
so we
and present.
can't really say I feel bad for her. Of course we don't. Sure, it's not in our blood. It was taken
Mm-hmm.
from us. So for me to be able to speak it, yeah, it's cool. It's fine. I'm not always practicing it. I had a workshop 2 weeks ago in Kildare with Kildare Legaelga and I'm out of practice like and they pick up the phone and they're like, should they Aoife os Kildare Legaelga on Wiltusa ag Tocht? And I'm like, English, go away, English, get out of my head and go into Irish. And it's hard, like it is really
Yeah.
hard. But even for someone who speaks it well enough to get himself by in a class and with his mates, like it's still hard to switch it back on. Like
Hmm.
for me,
Hmm.
to even say that little bit of speaking there was a bit. You're kind of moving things around because we speak English. That's that's just the way that it is, you know. Is it dying? I don't know. I'd be afraid to say whether it is. But I think things
But
like
over the west coast, it's very strong, isn't it? It's
it's it's strong in parts,
in parts, yeah, around
like
Galway and Clare and
Connemara. So
yeah.
so you get like Spiddle, Rossmuck, Rossnaville, all those areas out in Connemara, and then there's a little bit of Donegal, Gweedore. Then there's some in West Kerry, some in Dungarvan,
Hmm.
and there's some in Meath. I can't think of the area in Meath, but yeah, like it's still there, but like you're not talking areas, you're talking about houses. You're talking houses.
Okay.
You're not really saying like unless you're in Galway, like you go into the supermarket there. Like this is mad. You go into a supermarket and
I was in
Mary
Galway fucking 2 weeks ago.
up in Connemara,
No, I was in Salt Hill.
you weren't far then. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
far from Connemara. It's literally that road and straight out. And you could have Mary giving out about whoever won the lotto in another petrol station, all in Irish. Like
Love
this is
it.
normal life.
Love it.
Like this isn't put on for you because you're in an area to learn Irish. This is real life.
Yeah.
That's mad. So it's kind of like we're thinking back to like us reading these books for 14 years, and all we're thinking is, I'm never gonna use that. I'm never
Yeah.
gonna I'm
As
never
a
gonna
young know-it-all. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a young know-it-all. And then these people depend on it like
Uh-huh.
there's there's actually a young girl I introduced to my mom and dad. She was the daughter of the principal, and she was only 8 years of age. And I says to Darren, I says, Darren, should they ma húsh Mahori os le Gorman? And she was like, oh, that's Bula Leib, which is like, nice to meet you. This is my parents. Nice to meet you. And I says to my parents, this is Darren, who's a TG Carher child star. She's brilliant, great Irish, blah, blah, blah. But they responded back to her in English, and she looks back up towards me going, she didn't even understand English, really.
Okay.
Because now she understood some words of it, but she's in an Irish school learning Irish through Irish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. Just pure untouched. I love it.
Cool.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's just my opinion on it. And for me, that's something that I'd love to have. But carrying on with you and your story, what would you say, I was gonna say, what would you say the biggest highlight of your life has been so far? Well, yeah, go for that.
Biggest highlight professionally
Yeah.
for me personally, I think it was the 12 pubs of drums that I did.
Hmm.
It was definitely the most organic thing, the most riskiest thing, the most this could be really, really shit or this could be good. So basically 12 pubs of drums was a viral video that went out and I did a different rhythm in each pub using something that was a part of the pub, no drums.
Okay.
So so the layers of rhythms all amounted up to a piano cover of the little drummer boy and it showcases Gory in the most beautiful way. So it was shot professionally on camera and recorded on site as I went around 12 pubs. So I started at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning and I finished shooting the video at 6 o'clock that evening. And yeah, it was one of those
Go.
ideas where,
No, you go. It was one of those ideas. What?
like, it was one of those ideas that just could have fell flat on its face,
Uh-huh.
or it was an idea that was going to do okay.
Okay.
And when I did it to this day, I think it's close enough to maybe 2 million hits It gets shared every year. People from New
So that's
Zealand,
around the Christmas time, is it?
yeah.
With
So
the 12
people,
pubs.
so people who lived abroad, like people in Australia, were like, you're on our screens here in a pub. People from
Mm.
Spain are taking pictures of my face playing in a pub and going, someone is live streaming this now, telling us we have to watch it if you're from Ireland. People were crying, saying, I miss home so much.
Oh my God, I've got goosebumps here. Chills.
And that was never the intent behind it. The intent was to give it a go. If it's shit, we won't put it out there. If it's good, put it out there.
Yeah, yeah, we'll drop it like it's hot, but come here. I just want to come back and help me understand. So the 12 pubs playing playing drums with a different object in each of the pubs. So that was the 12 pubs combined was the whole song. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So you put all the
So
different sounds together and that was the end product. That was a full song then.
exactly. So like for instance, I start on a very dusty bar stool, right? In like the bridge bar. That's like the first rhythm. So I start in the complex, which is the local pub, and bing, I get the idea. And then we go down to the bridge bar. We grab the dusty bar stool, and we start the first rhythm is bum ba dum bum. That's it. Boom ba da bum. And then we have to build on top of that.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
we go
yeah. I
up
get you now.
and then up to the next pub. That rhythm is now going through my ear as da 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 da. Next rhythm, ba ba da da. Give them what they want. Boom, ba da 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 ba da, and then you're straight into it. And people are like, okay, I need to see what comes next. So there's a dart.
Love it.
So there's a dartboard in it. There's a pool smash. So like you break the
Yeah,
balls
yeah.
and boom, and then that gets a bit of a boom straight into your dart drop. The hatch door that's at the end of a bar, you know those. Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah,
love it.
banging that. The the best part of that, and it's absolute genius, and you'll never be able to recreate this. Was that we went to my my local pub, Bugoverns, and we asked them for a pint of Guinness, not to drink it, but to smash it, right? To actually get that sound. So the rhythm was something like 1, 2, 3, 4, smash. Okay.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, you can see back on the video now, we did that in one take because the price of pints these days, right? It didn't go smash. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, bounce, smash. It bounced. But
Okay.
so the sound engineer took that back in, and he says, I didn't even have to speed that up or actually slow it down. The glass when it bounced and smashed was bang on time.
Okay.
So
Wow.
so then we listened back to the smash, and the smash wasn't really blowing our socks off. We're like it was like a more of a bump. So one of the regulars in the pub goes, I'll be back in a minute. And his house is literally across the road. And he comes back over and he hands me these plates and he says, I know it's not original, but you could trick the crowd with this one. And it was a prank joke set of smashing dishes. It was all these little metal plates. So we recorded that sound, used the visual of the pint,
I
bang.
love it. There you go.
It was
That's
class.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um, that's amazing. It's I heard Dr. Dre on a podcast or an interview there a few months ago, and he was speaking about when he became a producer 30, 40 years ago, whenever it was, how they used to come up with the sounds. You
Mm.
just buy tapes, do exactly what you said, smash something, hit a spoon off something,
Yeah.
close a car door, and
Yeah.
then multiply that sound. Like it's really interesting to hear that you've done the exact same thing. Because
Yeah.
now today it's all electronic. There's all
Yeah.
sounds in I don't know the words for them, but
No,
keyboards and
yeah, like, and it's still something that I'm still a little bit. allergic to, because these electronic sounds and electronic pads that are going to give you what the sound of something that's raw and acoustic. So literally, the electronic is almost swallowing its words in many ways. Like you can see drummers there with drum kits, and they have
Yeah,
this pad because it makes it sound like acoustic drums. Just get acoustic drums. And I think
yeah,
learning on electronic drums for young people, it's not going to. It's like thinking you're able to ride a bike with stabilizers. Is
yeah,
how I
yeah.
think
And
it.
do you know what just dropped in for me there as you were speaking? It's a bit like AI. It is
Yeah,
pretty much AI, isn't it? It's like AI has
it,
come and swallowed up the original.
there's nothing natural. There's no gifts behind it, like whereas
Yeah.
I think a drummer will always be aware of his sounds
Aha.
around him. Like underneath, I'm very aware that my island here sounds like a kick drum, like an 18
Aha.
inch kick drum. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I I'm quite, yeah, and I'm very curious about how things sound and stuff. Like whenever I see like someone, this is how mad my head is. Like the missus was pouring out old water from like a vase, and she kind of knocks it off like the stainless steel tap while doing it, and the water was going out, and it kind of went ooh, and I was like, do that again. Of course, I'm over there for like 20 minutes filling it back up and trying
get
to
this.
copy it and do it again for no reason. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm not going to record it. I'm not going to do
Yeah,
anything, but I need to get my fix, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. A master of your craft. It's
Uh-huh.
it's your heart really, isn't it? I'm the same. I used to be a plumber.
All
Still
right.
love it. Like I can't go for the piss, no joke, without every every pipe in the bathroom. I should, I'd be standing there, sitting there, whatever, and yeah, I'll be checking out the pipe work and be like, God, I would have done it this way. I would have done it that way.
Amazing. How many cowboys have you come
Ah,
across?
cowboys all over the place, me included, me included. But like, I swear to God, underground car parks, toilets, kitchens, my friends' houses, like it doesn't matter where I am. That's my brain is locked into that
Yeah,
mode. I love it. It was art for me. Even looking back, cause you're bringing something to life that you created in your mind. Even though you get plans and drawings,
yeah,
um, you still got to create that with your mind. You don't. It's not like an AI thing where you can spit out a ready-made fucking plumb set or whatever, you know. So I understand what you're talking about in terms of following the
building.
sounds. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Um. So yeah, that was a big thing. Send me the link for that as well. I
yeah,
must get the
absolutely.
links for all these things so I can
No worries. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
add them
I'll
into the
write them down.
forward or the description of the podcast episode.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, now today, I noticed you do a lot of things around Ireland. Actually, I have a question. In terms of trad music, so the Irish
Yeah,
language is obviously debatable whether it's dying off or where it's at, but there's a big
yeah.
conversation that it is dying off. In terms of folk and country and Irish music, um, where does that fare in those terms, in your
With trad
opinion?
music,
Trad music, Irish music, yeah, country music. Like, is Ireland in terms of music losing its culture, or are there still people like look at the Wolf Towns for instance? They're 70 years together. I was blessed to get to see them at Electric Picnic this year. But
yeah.
is that type of musician a dying breed in Ireland?
You know what? It's something that I'm really looking into at the minute. Like I'm researching in schools. Like the flat is hitting massive numbers in young people
Uh-huh.
playing music, competing, starting bands, Irish trad festivals across Scotland, the UK, and Ireland, better than ever. But
Love it.
yet, but yet, there's no one learning an instrument in school anymore. I think it's going to come, and I hate to say it because my roots are trad. Like
Hmm.
Bowron is my first instrument. It's the one thing. Like I started when I was 8. Started teaching at 13. I love it. It's literally it's the only instrument I ever feel like it's a part to me. Maybe the
Uh-huh.
bongos, but the bodhrán is, if the house was on fire, wife, child, bodhrán. So
I love it.
yeah,
All in
uh,
that order.
no, the bodhrán first.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but like I used to get, like I started doing the workshops when I was 16, and I go into classrooms and ask them who here plays an instrument. More than half the class hand goes up. And then now, who here plays an instrument? One, maybe at a push. I play a bit of guitar. That's it.
Crazy.
Co- COVID has done things to young people that we just don't know what it is yet, and it's scary. And that's just being realistic. That's nothing against the young people. That's
Yeah.
it's not their fault. We would all do the same as they're doing. But no, I remember asking them a real open question because I was so confused as to why. And I remember asking them as a group, I was like, does nobody here want to be in a spotlight, do well, become famous? Anyone? And then they all went, nah. And I was like, what about sport? And they're like, oh, that's different, but I want to be a hurler, but sure, there's no money in that, so can I hardly be famous? Like this sort of attitude,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's crazy. So where is the Irish culture going right now? Really strong musically. Really, really
Yeah.
strong. Foster and Allen next year, 50 years. They're going to do a tour. They're going to sell it out like that.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Flat Kjol coming back down to Wexford here.
Ah,
Huge
I got
success.
chills. I was at the
Yeah.
Fla in Clare. Unbelievable.
Ennis.
Ennis, yeah, in Ennis, yeah. I met my wife a few years back and I learned how to surf as well when I was in
Deadly.
Australia. So, city centre, fucking Dublin. Anything outside of Dublin was like another world. Although I went down to Kildare for a lot of my childhood once a year, Clongowes Wood College. But there's parts of Ireland that I've only learned. Like it's still now driving across the Galway there when I was home. Like Ireland is such a beautiful country. So going to the Fla for me was like completely alien. Didn't know what I was going into.
Yeah.
Went there with my wife, not wife at the time, but a lot of friends over there in Ennis, and we had a best time. Like the
Yeah.
absolute kids, 5, 6, 7 years of age on the street playing the bodhrán, playing the tin whistle, and whatever
Yeah.
other instrument. But everywhere,
And playing it well.
playing it
Playing it really
well,
well. Yeah.
pumping. Like I couldn't believe it. It was
Yeah.
fucking pumping. Big, pubs had their outdoor areas and so on. It was a full festival.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that it's coming back to Wexford. When was the last time I was there?
Was in a Scorty in Wexford. So I think I was four. I think it was 96 or 97. That was the
Jesus.
last time. And being honest, that's close. That's close in years to have a flat because a
Uh-huh.
location gets it for 2 years
They get it, yeah, and then they swap it.
and then they swap it. So I remember, like, I think Tullamore got it for 3 years, Cavan got it for 3 years because they were so successful. Then
Okay.
it went to Derry for a year, Sligo for 2 years, Mullingar for 2 years, Wexford for 2 years. So
Uh-huh.
you can see the little route it does. I think the South deserves it big time.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I think
It's been a while.
I don't think Clare was good enough for the Kerrys, the Corks, and all that. I think it needs to go hard into the South
Yeah,
because they provide so much funding. They have all the accommodation. They have the best of it. Like Cork in itself is sorry, I'm sorry to tell you as a dub, but it is a big city. Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
is. It is the almost capital. But
Yo.
if you want to put it like that, but
Ah, man, I love it.
it's I think it deserves it. But yeah,
Right.
nothing can be done in schools about this teaching thing. But anyway,
Yeah, that
it is what
that
it
was
is.
literally what I was going to come back to quickly. Just what's the age group of the classes you go into?
from the age of 3 all the way up to the age of 19.
Okay.
All of them. All of them.
And you just said there's nothing you can do. Like, in your opinion, what can be done, or what's something that can be a first step? Because there's always something that we can do, or can be done. What do you see, in your opinion, something that can be done that would help bring back the love for Irish trad music? Because what I'm sort of hearing from you is there's obviously the generation that's pumping it out there now,
Yeah.
but when obviously life, the circle of life takes its hold, the next generation is not going to carry it forward. So there's a gap.
What's well, I think the festivals that are deemed at these age groups don't have the inspiration there to pick up an instrument. And that's nothing against the artists because I love them artists, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it's DJ music, it's MCs, it's garage, it's techno, it's dance. So no one is up on stage inspiring anyone other than a DJ. Now, will they all become DJs? Nah, they're happy enough to be in the crowd. Do you know what I mean? This attitude.
yeah,
To help it, put more live bands up on stage. Country could do something. Country's doing something in Ireland now. The two Johnnies and stuff. There are young people watching that, but I think it's more of a crack factor more so than a music factor. And that's nothing against
yeah,
the lads. What they're doing is absolutely brilliant, but
yeah.
it's it's getting live bands back on stages that are deemed at the younger generation. Like I remember I was doing a thing in college on Stevie Wonder, an exam on Stevie Wonder or an essay or a thesis or something. And my father says, "Oh, that's mad. I went to see him when I was 18 back in the RDS." And it makes you think. My father went to see a stage full of instrumentalists,
Hmm.
musicians, singers, whereas people who were his age then now are going up the road to see Kygo
Yeah,
to press a few buttons and go,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Feel fist pumps. Yeah,
you
it's
know,
interesting. And do you think that's even with rap music, the quality of musician, if you will, it's not where it used to be. Like, you look at Prince, you look at, Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson,
yeah,
and a few others like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all of them. They're multifaceted in what they can do, but now musicians have a whole team of people that create the music for them. So,
yeah.
what's your opinion of that? Oh, this is just an interesting conversation for me.
What with the quality of play
Yeah, just
that
the
there is
quality
now?
of, yeah, like, do you feel music is as good as it used to be? Or
Uh,
musicians as well? Are they as skilled and qualified?
yeah, I think I think every era has its legends. It reminds you of someone saying to me like, "Oh no, it wasn't someone saying to me. It was Dick Pierce from Rock Block and Beats." And he literally just made the point going, think back to the 90s properly. Think of the bands we had: Metallica, Nirvana, Blur, Oasis, Bowie, and it went on and on. And it's kind of like, oh my God, we
Yeah.
don't we don't produce legends anymore in this era. But you look at today's world, Beyonce, Adele, Ed Sheeran, they're legends. They they will be icons, yeah, definitely. Is
Yeah,
it as
but
good as? I don't know. I think the skill is still there, but I think the sounds are. I don't know. I just can't believe the charts sometimes. Whenever I go through, like whenever I go down through like a top 10, go back down through a top 10 back in 1998 compared to 2024. It'll wreck your head. Like,
well, that's part of the reason for the question, because of those three, Beyonce's like, they're all legends, they're absolutely incredible. Um, Beyonce has a massive team behind her. I know she's incredible at what she does. She's done the hard graft back in
mm,
the day, but now they're littered with fucking director of music and X, Y, and Z. And like, I was saying that in one of the, I don't know whether it was a Grammy, but a few years back, some band was best performer, or best artist, whatever it was, where she had a whole, like, probably about 50 people in that category with her that helped her
Yeah.
to produce her album. I think, can't remember what the category was. And then you had this other guy, a bit like Ed Sheeran, that wrote his own lyrics, played his own instruments, fucking produced his own music, you know, like a
Exactly.
unicorn of music, you know.
Yeah.
Now, Beyonce was that back in the day. I'm sure she still has the skills for it. But a lot of musicians and artists these days don't have that foundation. They just start with the
No,
electronic music. You
no, because
notice
they
that too?
have because they have the money for everything else to be done for them.
Hmm.
Like they have the money to fund a team to basically AI their next album,
Uh-huh.
but in an organic way.
Yeah, it's interesting because what are your thoughts on Taylor Swift?
Yeah, she's good. Good show woman. She knows how to sell tickets. She's a billionaire. She is very good. She works hard. That's about it, really. I wouldn't be a massive fan.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I wouldn't say no to it either if I got free tickets. I actually was
Okay.
looking for tickets. I'm very much into the show and the spectacle of today's music more so than the music.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I love big creations. Like Maura got me tickets to Imagine Dragons a couple of years ago, and I love them, love their albums and stuff. But sure, all I could talk about was the lighting show and the timing, and then like the timing of like all of the lads walking back on stage and being there in five, six, seven, eight, and everyone's back into position, and then the runway opens, and then all the pyro goes off. I love that.
Hmm.
So Taylor Swift, obviously, I heard it was a good show, but right now I'm looking to go to shows like Coldplay,
Were you there?
Pink. No, don't
Go
bring it up,
ahead.
Dara. uh, Coldplay, Pink.
Pink is
Um,
amazing. I was at Coldplay as well, by the way.
I seen
Second
that.
time
Yeah,
seeing them. Yeah.
unreal.
Pink is incredible. I seen Pink in 2008 in Australia. It might have been 2009. It was only when I got to Australia. It was one of
Yeah,
those ones, all the lads are going with the girls. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll go. But my God,
yeah,
she's a
class.
performer. She
She's a
is,
performer.
yeah.
And you know what? Tying into this whole podcast episode and from what I saw about from like the start and values and being able to do what you do and do it so well. Her new documentary on Prime, she brings her family everywhere. They live with her on tour. They're in her bed whenever she gets back in from a show because they can't sleep. You know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
so her home travels with her.
Yeah.
It's it's unbelievable. She doesn't see the reason of going to work and leaving your family back at home. She doesn't see the reasoning behind it.
Uh-huh.
I want to be able to do that at some point in my life to get to a place where I can say, right, Maura, a career break, because the two of us are going to we're going to actually operate this brand that's Con Moore, that's going to put on big shows and festivals. Okay. We're going to do this. We're going to go to America with Lynn and enjoy 2 or 3 weeks. We can do this. But we've just moved into a house of things. So
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
so we are going to look towards that because we're watching Pink going, she's so right, like she is right. And she does it because she's so successful. And I believe this, she's so successful because her values are correct. They are
Uh-huh.
absolutely bang on. The energy that she's putting out there is because her family are waiting for her side stage. Why else wouldn't you be the best performer in the world? You
Love
know,
that. Gold. Absolute gold. I don't know what our family is like. How many kids does she have? Just a quick one.
I think she's two or three.
But that's the thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Kids are always looking to see
Yeah,
what the parents, the guardians, the mentors, it's incredibly inspiring for them to
yeah,
understand that they can do that. So good on her. She's a fucking
yeah,
weapon. She's a
absolutely.
weapon. Um, I had a question for you there. Fear. I didn't want to bring fear back up yet, but it's there anyway. So you mentioned fear. You were. part of how you operate in life is the undertone or the driving force of all of that is fear. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so um kind of into my late teens and into my early 20s, I underwent some mental health issues and I was failing basically as a person, as myself, as a businessman, as a friend, as a boyfriend, as everything. And um, it kind of spiraled all from burning the candle at both ends, teaching classes, doing workshops, being a full time band member up and down to Clondalkin to write songs, to rehearse, to record. Never had enough money, I thought, and had to
Mm-hmm.
keep making more, had to keep having sleepless nights. And I got to the stage then whenever I would be on stage with Shalin and I would start feeling an unbelievable sense of anxiety. I started getting
Mm-hmm.
stage fright very late into my career that I never underwent. So the reason why I have a fear of failing is because I know what the fear feels like. And it's terrible. It's the worst. It's horrific. Um yeah, you can get some people around you to help you get back out of it, but you have to put you have to give yourself the leg up first
Uh-huh.
to want to do it, like, so
Mm-hmm.
throughout college, didn't like living in Dublin, didn't like didn't like music for maybe 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like I was a commercial leave your soul at the door sort of performing monkey. Start looking into other jobs, looked into the post office, looked into working in Foot Locker. This real extreme thinking was going on while running classes with kids, going into school, trying to inspire them. But then I get back into my car going, "Sure, you're not going to keep this up forever. I've just after been lying to a class of 30 kids about doing what you want. Don't
Mm-hmm.
listen to everyone else. Get a pen and paper every night. Have a have like a notepad. What do you need to do? Who do you need to talk to? Get a website going. Do like your graphics yourself. It's more organic. It's more you." I'm getting back into a car going, "Oh, I'm so unhappy,"
Mm-hmm.
And then uh, I kind of put it all down to my wife and myself for getting myself out of that hole. I think it's very important to realize that only you can do it, as well as the help of your wife or your friends or whoever got you out of it. And that fear knocks on my door most mornings, and
Mm-hmm.
they're never ever allowed in, like, because
Mm-hmm.
I won't allow it, and that's the only way to do it. It's only you that can let the fear in,
Yeah,
you know.
fair play to you. And another thing I would ask is there any such thing as failure?
No, it's a lesson, isn't it?
There you go. The
Mm.
man who fails is the man who gives up, or the woman who gives up.
Yeah,
It's
very good.
a lesson or
What's that phrase
blessing.
again?
The man who fails is the man who gives up. Now, I'm gonna write that down myself because I just
Do.
thought of it there.
I can see it now on Wikipedia in 20 years' time. Dara Byrne, 2024.
main Instagram memes or whatever you call it.
There
The
you
man
go.
who fails. So for you, tell us about your quick hero journey through that process because it's obviously sounds fairly heavy. You're wearing a mask,
Mm.
um, and that's the thing. What a lot of people don't understand is you can't run away from yourself. So the more
Yeah.
we wear these masks on the outside, it kills us a little more on the inside. So the quicker you be honest, you tell me actually. Tell me your story.
So I began the process of to fix it,
Uh-huh.
um, if you will. I started to fix it back in 2014,
Uh-huh.
and I went to psychotherapy. Um, I went I went to psychotherapy, and how I coped with it socially wasn't great. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
did all of the things that people shouldn't do whenever they're undergoing it.
On the session.
Um, on the session, yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. I had I had the money to do it because I was a businessman, and I didn't have a lot of it, but I had a wage,
Mm-hmm.
and I had, and like I said at the start of this podcast, I had the privilege of giving myself my own holidays, so I could work all through that weekend and then session for the next 2 weekends, things like that. And yeah, went to psychotherapy, I'd say for the bones of 6 months, came away from it and got a lot of coping out of it, got a lot of resilience out of it, got a lot of strength from it. Um, and yeah, I'm not one to kind of to become fairly stationary on something that's going wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
I try and fix it quite quickly, and that was kind of held against me professionally, as in this isn't something that you can get into your stride overnight. This is something that you have to work at, and it's bad. You don't realize you're working at it until you kind of feel like, geez, I'm actually all right, and I've been all
Yeah.
right for the last couple of months. Or there's no day where it's like, all of your tests have come, all of your tests have
Yeah.
come back, Mr. Moore. You're now happy again. Like that, like that's not the case.
I
Like,
love
you
that
know.
analogy.
So it's kind of it's something that I've definitely grown an awful lot more from going through. I don't think I'm the only one. I can guarantee you, whoever is listening to this podcast has gone through it. I
Mm-hmm.
think we all have in this modern era. Very hard for any Irishman, woman, family to not go through it, considering the country that we're living in, the times that we are living in, the rates that are being pressed up against us. Just as a side note, looked at the telly last week, 600 restaurants had to close down in like the year. Family businesses, also family businesses that have been booming with business, but it's not enough. It doesn't
Wow.
matter. Do you know what I mean?
It's inflation.
So inflation. So I can
Mm-hmm.
guarantee it, there's a lot of those 600 owners that are lying in a bed somewhere right now going,
Mm-hmm.
fuck this.
And
You know?
thank you very much for bringing that up, by the way.
No problem.
What would you say to people who are listening to this podcast that might be going through that exact thing?
You can't do it. You can't do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to speak to a professional. It's all well and good getting a few pints into you and going, I'm not feeling the best now, and I'm on medication. Well, you can't be on medication, you know, if you're going to
Mm-hmm.
burn the candle at both ends and go drinking. You just can't. Speak to someone professional. I even got such I I got so much from that time that I actually went back to psychotherapy last year, but not for depression or mental health issues, kind of like a life coaching thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm going through X, Y, and Z professionally. I want to make sure that my emotions are intact before I go attacking these things. How can you
Uh,
help me? And
yeah.
she said, the first thing she said was, "Oh, thank God, you won't be crying." Right, perfect. You know what I mean?
Love
So
it.
I actually was in there to see how I was to approach my next move. You know,
Yeah.
granted, I've had I've had a bit of turbulence in the last 2 years with the industry,
Yeah.
with business associates and things like that. And I kind of thought, all right, I need to start cleaning them out, get rid of
Uh-huh.
the dead wood. I don't stick around and go, oh, will I, won't I? Like, my circle now in this industry is so small.
Uh-huh.
and that's for a reason, you know. And
Yeah.
it's not because I don't like or don't want to work, but keep your circle of trust really, really small in every walks of life. If you're
Uh-huh.
going through a business deal, if you're going through mental health, if you're going through something you want to keep private, you know, keep your circle really, really
Uh-huh.
small, because the smaller the circle,
Mm-hmm.
the, the stronger it actually is.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for that. Um, Three quick questions to finish up.
Yeah.
I have a client immediately after this. So, quickly, what's next for Conor Moore, and where can people find you?
My next big one will be on my Instagram either today or tomorrow. I am supporting a very big Irish act in a couple of weeks. Um, I'm not
Well,
quite ahead.
you, sorry to cut across you, but you can
You're
say
right,
their name because it's going to be a couple of weeks before this goes live.
grand. Well, I could have played with them already, but I will be supporting Mark McCabe and Mimi Lane in the Spiegel tent in Wexford. Um, Special because it's the Spiegel tent. It's like an old Belgian circus tent, and it's a
What is
festival.
that, a festival?
Yeah, so it's a festival
I'll
that
I'll
runs
have to
for
tell
like a
all my
week.
mates. Spiegel,
Spiegel
Spiegel.
tent, yeah. And I'll be playing with Mark and Mimi. That's really cool. That's kind of the next big thing. I will be doing the 10th anniversary of 12 Pubs of Drums in the next 2 years, but I'm thinking about kicking the whole 10-year anniversary and just taking a run and jump at it this year.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it's gonna be 10 years on since the last one has been done. And myself and Daddy Sax and Casa Disco are just going to keep grooving on dance floors. And you can
Okay.
find me on Instagram at conmore_drums, or you can look into me further at soundoutrhythm.ie.
Legend, absolute legend. For anybody who has kids who want to get into drums or pad music, this is your man. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to chat to somebody with such a depth of wisdom at such a young age. Yeah, thank you for your time today. Final
Thanks,
question.
Sarah. Hmm.
Final question. What does success mean to you?
How well you cope with the situation. Success, being happy, being comfortable, and time, having lots of time to yourself. That's the success. Because if you have if you have those moments to like yourself and your family, and like we went off to the zoo yesterday of a Monday, you
Mm.
know, with the little one. I was like 24 degrees, like Bali stuff, you know.
Oh,
It was
lovely.
deadly. And
Deadly.
we could do that because we work hard.
Uh-huh.
And that to me is success. It's not about banking the big checks. It's about getting yourself enough to tie yourself over to get your dream house, to have your dream life.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Love it. Connor, again, thank you very much for your time
Thank you,
and
Dara.
enjoy the rest of your day. All right, buddy? It's been a
You
pleasure
too.
to chat. I can't wait to watch the rest of your story unfold. I'll be on one of your dance floors soon. Don't worry about that.
Please God, man. Thank you.
All right, good luck. Chat soon.
Cheers. Bye bye. Bye bye.